Hello everybody, this is Amanda from Story and Stone. I hope you are all well today. We are here for the weekly reading from the 15th of September to the 21st of September. So I hope you all had a good week last week. I know I had a very busy week. I had my niece staying with me nearly all week, so she had me on the go. But then I got to relax by catching up with a very dear friend on the Saturday and spending nearly the whole day just chatting away and taking photographs, etc. It was such a lovely way to end the week. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping before we start. This is a reading for the collective, so if it does not resonate with you, that's fine. Just take what does and leave the rest. I do offer private readings, but I will never, ever cold canvas you. So if you get approached by someone saying that they're me and that they are offering you a reading, please do not give them any money because it is a scam. I will never approach you. What else? The cards I'm using today are the Illustrated Herbiary, the Illustrated Crystallary, and the Illustrated Bestiary, all by Maia Toll. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so for Monday we have Amethyst, Expand into Wonder. Okay, the first thing they're showing me is my niece. And she's laughing and she's playing and she's using her imagination and she's using her creativity, and they're saying be more like her, basically. So what they want us to do is they want us to remember how miraculous life is. They want us to keep our childlike awe and wonder. They want us to remember that we are a miracle being here, that our bodies are a miracle, that Mother Earth is a miracle, that everything is magic and whimsical, and that life is for enjoyment. Now, I'm not talking about the drinking and, drugs and that type of what some people would class as enjoyment. I'm talking about the simple things. Going for a walk. Today we have the windiest day ever, and it's most probably not a real good day for a walk because there are storm advice. But if it wasn't so stormy, it would be a great day to go for a walk with the kids. And the wind seems to, how when it's windy, your cat and dogs will sometimes tear around the yard. And I remember as a child, me and my sister would get dressed up in our beanies and scarves and go outside on a windy winter's day and just run around the yard. And it was just so invigorating, but it was just something that really made you feel really energetic and crazy and like anything could happen. And so this Monday, you're being asked to remember about the wonder of life. Remember that everything is a gift, everything is a blessing, and that there is so much magic going on around us that we just take for granted, and we really need to stop and step back into our inner child and remember what it's like to be curious and awe-inspired, and just think from that point of view, from that perspective, so that we can remember the miracle that is living here and experiencing life as it is. Okay, for Tuesday, we have Transmutation, Black Tourmaline. Okay, so we've had this card before. We had it not last week, but the week before. And it's all about going from one to the other. So basically transforming yourself into something that you weren't, basically. Now, when I said that, straight away they went, no. They're saying you already are it, but you're not being it. Does that make sense? Tourmaline is known as a crystal that's very protective. So a lot of healers, etc., they carry it on their body. They might wear it as a piece of jewelry or have it in their healing room. It's very protective, keeps negative energy away from you. It's like the master protector. And sometimes I feel, even though we have to protect ourselves from negative energy and that, sometimes we have to take a risk and release. If you see this card, you can see that the dandelion, which by the way is a very good, dandelion tea is very good for you. But you can see the dandelion is releasing all of its seeds. And it's sort of saying, be inspired, be motivated, be courageous enough to actually plant some seeds in places that you wouldn't normally plant a seed. So take a bit of risk, calculated risk, not stupid idiot risk. You know, those videos that they show you about the most stupid people in the world doing the most stupid things. Don't be that person. Take calculated risks. Research and find out what risks can you take that give you a different outcome. Once we take the risks that we wouldn't normally take, we will start attracting more things into our life that give us more opportunities to take risks that will move us forward, but that are not detrimental to our well-being. And that's really what, Spirit is asking you to do on Tuesday, is to be willing to plant seeds where you normally wouldn't plant seeds. Okay. For Wednesday, we have Black Bear, sync with the cycles. Okay, so we had this a few weeks ago too, and I feel like maybe they're bringing it forward again because we are now going into a lot warmer weather, we're sort of going from that transition from winter to spring, and they're saying, okay, now is the time to start thinking about all the things you've been thinking you'd like to do for the upcoming year, and start maybe getting the tools and the resources together and making a plan of what steps you're going to take, because we're going into that cycle. I think next week, what's the date today? Yeah, so next week we'll be having spring equinox, which is the official, for me anyway, is the official start of spring. So that's when we start to see, little shoots come up from the ground, the flowers starting to open and blossom, baby animals around, magpies attacking you if you live in Australia. I don't know if they do that in any other country, but I have a lot of trees around me, and I usually go for a walk, and lately I've been like going, oh, should I be doing that, or am I going to get attacked? But anyway, I digress. They want you to start thinking about using the energy that's naturally coming through anyway from Mother Earth and from the universe, using that to your advantage to start putting actions into place, to start rolling the ball so that you can start working towards those goals or those dreams that you have been thinking about over winter. Okay, before I move on, they just want me to say one more thing. They're saying it's really important that we move with the cycles, not just, because everything has to have a cycle, and if you refuse to go with the cycles, the universe will eventually force you to do it. That person that's always on the go, always going from one project to another, never slowing down, and then all of a sudden gets whacked with a disease or an illness that lays them flat for a few months because they didn't take notice of the small signs that were saying you need to have some downtime. So they're really saying to me too that we need to be very mindful of that, because as we get better weather, we want to be outside more, we're doing more, and just to remember that we still need that downtime every day where we're not doing, where we're just being sometimes, and making sure that we get enough rest as well, because they keep bringing up the word circadian rhythms. So I think maybe they just want us to remember that we need to be in cycle with ourselves as well to get the best from ourselves when we're going forward and doing what we need to do to meet our obligations, but also to meet our goals and our intentions. Okay. So for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have You Are the Foundation, Howlet. And in this particular case, White Howlet. The Earth is going through a very challenging time at the moment. We all can agree on that. No matter what our outlook on life is, we can all agree that the Earth is going through very challenging times at the moment. And usually when we go through challenging times, we come out at the end with something new. And this is sort of saying that we have to remember that the challenging times that we're going through at the moment will give us a foundation that we are part of, that we chose to be here for. We will be part of that foundation for the new movement going forward. Now, I could ramble on for hours about what I feel this new movement is, but I'm not going to do that here for the purposes of a weekly reading. If you want me to go into it, please do drop me a line and I'll think about making a video about that. But they're wanting us to remember that we have picked to be here at this specific time so that we can be part of the foundation that is moving forward to bring in this new age, this new energy. And remembering that we are sacred beings, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And just to be very mindful of that. Because I feel like there's a lot of, me and my friend were just talking about this yesterday. I feel like there's a lot of people who are just so overwhelmed at the moment with everything that's going on and so tired, like exhausted. I am mentally, physically and emotionally exhausted with all the energy that comes at me all the time, you know, and just having to protect yourself everywhere you go because there's so much anger and angst out there and people who are so chaotic, and it's really just exhausting. And I feel like there's a lot of us that are going, I can't do this anymore. I need peace. Well, this card is saying you chose this. This is what you're here for. So pull your socks up, get some resilience, get some courage, and just keep going because peace is coming, but we still have a bit more shit to go through, unfortunately. Okay, for Friday, we've got Asian elephant on a lineage. Sorry if you can hear that whistling. That's my front door. We have a little insert of glass with a screen on it so that you can open it up to let air in. But when there is gale force winds coming, the magnets don't work. So I have to push stuff up against it to stop it from blowing open, letting rain in. It's very, very, very annoying. Okay. On Friday, they're sort of carrying on from this We Are the Foundation. They want to talk about the foundation that came before us, the foundations that were built so that we could come into this earth to do the work that we needed to do to be able to move humanity into a new direction. And that we need to, so often I see things like people wanting to burn books because they talked about slavery or women being, submissive and subservient or being treated, mistreated, and they want to, okay, well, we don't want that anymore, so we're just going to burn those books. But it's very important for us to remember what humanity has gone through to get to where it is, because if we don't remember, and I'm not saying bring it up and dwell on it, that's not what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is if we do not remember what we've been through to get to where we are, there is a very high risk of us repeating those mistakes. You know, when Hitler did what he did, many people said we shall never let this happen again. Hello? What is happening now all around the world? Anyway, we don't learn. That's a whole another video as well. What we need to do is we need to remember where we've come from. We need to remember the foundations that our ancestors have provided for us so that we could be here today in this specific situation so that we can move forward and build the new foundation for a new humanity. I know it all sounds very conspiracy theory and airy-fairy and woohoo, but that's what's happening. If you just sit back and you just look at what the world is going through at the moment, then you can see that we are going through massive change. If you go back through history, you'll see that every time there was major conflict and chaos and massive change, it always comes through to a new age. And we have to be very aware that we don't forget about the work that was done before, so that A, we can honour it, and B, we can not repeat it. So it's very, very important. And even especially in your family, like when you get down to the nitty-gritty and you get down to the real immediate circle of influence, remembering the people who got you to where you are today. You know, even if you do that and don't go global, but even if you do that, then you're remembering how you got to where you got to where you are, and being grateful for those lessons that those people learnt, because they passed them down through their DNA, through generation after generation, so that you have the knowledge that you need to get you through to this next new age. Okay. For Saturday, we have Honeybee, Navigate by the Sun. Now, I'm seeing a whole lot of yellow in this card. Beautiful, beautiful card. I love bees. They're gorgeous, except when they sting you. But when I first turned this card over, I was like, Navigate by the Sun. What do you mean by that? Straight away, they're telling me that we need to use a little bit of the sun's energy. So when I'm talking about that, I'm not talking about the direct sun energy, although that may be the case for some people, but I'm talking about the energy that the sun embraces. So the sun is a very masculine energy. It's a very action-orientated energy. And often when people say it's a very masculine energy, straight away people think of aggressiveness and that domineering and all that type of energy, which is not, yeah, it is classed as masculine because of the patriarchy, but true masculine energy is not like that. It is protective. It is strong, but it's not aggressively strong. It is action orientated. It is a fix things type of energy. And this card is saying to us that maybe we need to use that part of us a little bit more at the moment so that we can put things into action, because the time for reflection, the time for thinking through things is coming to an end. You know, by next week we're going to be in spring, and we need to start looking at preparing to take action, to start doing the little steps that we need to do so that come summer, we're in full swing of moving forward, of bringing our desires and our goals into reality. Before I go, they're also giving me heat in my solar plexus, so they want us to talk about, they want me to talk about also about will. So willpower and the I in the team, basically. You know, we are all interconnected, but they want me to talk in particular about the I that's in there, so the individuals that make that whole. And they want to talk about maybe the need for some of us to maybe think about how we use our will, how we use our determination. Like, what do we use it for? Is it for our good? Is it for the good being? Is it for the well-being of the whole? Or do we use it for more nefarious type purposes? So they're saying we really need to think about where our strength comes from, where our determination comes from, and where our willpower comes from. And if we don't feel like we have it, then that's what we need to work on this week. Okay. And then on Sunday, we have Amber. What are we becoming? So this is really fitting, going on from what I was just speaking about. This is saying, what are we becoming as we move forward into this new age? Who are you becoming? This whole month has been about this. It wants to talk about who do we need to be to move forward into this new age, this new movement. Who do you need to be? And that's really what we need to think about. We need to think about, who are we becoming? And do we like the person that we're becoming? Because some of us will still be being led by the nose, by the patriarchy, doing what we think is necessary because that's what mainstream media is telling us, and social media and all that sort of stuff. And we really need to think about who we want to become, number one. Does it resonate and align with our true self? And what are we doing to get to there, to being that person, if we're not already behaving like that person? I think either last week or the week before, I talked about taking your masks off, that we all have these masks we wear. So, husband, wife, employer, employee, sibling, parent, that type of thing. And we all have these different little sub-personalities that we, people that we play when we're wearing those masks. And the time is coming for us to take those masks off, to put them in the bin. Don't hang them back up on the hook on the wall. Put them in the bin. We don't need them anymore. We need to just be true to ourselves, no matter who we are dealing with. And this is saying, are you working towards that? Are you on your way to being the person that you're supposed to be? Some deep thoughts there for a Sunday. Okay. So the overall theme for this week is make manifest the beaver. So this definitely has that feeling of, yes, we're now going into action. We're now going where we have to start doing and not just thinking and planning about it anymore. We are actually getting into the nitty-gritty now. We have spring and summer. We have into the autumn equinox, where we then go into autumn and we start to finish up projects and get ready and clear out and get ready to hibernate once again. We are in that energy where we need to make manifest. So we need to do the work. And that really is the theme for this week, is that we need to do the work. And it's not so much physical work, although it can be. What jobs have you been putting off? Maybe you need to do a yard cleanup or wash windows or sort out cupboards and all that sort of thing. That's often why we do it now, is because there's that new energy coming in and we want that energy to come into all parts of our house. So that is good for us to do, but I feel like this is more about us. It's about our evolution. It's about us all moving towards that edge. When we get to that edge and a certain number of us get to that edge, and then we tip over and the new age actually physically begins, where people are not just talking about thinking differently, they are acting and thinking differently. So that is what this week is about. It's about starting to take action. The beaver works tirelessly, doesn't he? To build his little dam, to build his home, to provide for his family and himself. And that's what we need to do. But we need to do it not only physically, but mentally and emotionally for our own well-being, but also for the well-being of humanity. Because we are moving forward now. We are building that foundation and we're moving forward, and more of us are waking up to this. So we have to be very aware of the choices that we're making and I can hear my door, it's driving me crazy. And we have to be totally aware of the foundations that we're putting in place for this new age, this new movement. Because this is the movement that our children and our children's children will be going into. Okay, well, that is it for this week. I'm going to board that door up before it drives me absolutely crazy, because it sounds like a banshee or something when it's whistling through, and it's just going to smash open and smash, and then I'll be really fucked. Anyway, I hope you have a good week. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me either via DM or in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts and feelings about this, about moving forward. As I said, I do offer readings, but I'm also a holistic counselor. So if you need to talk about anything, we can arrange a session. And let's get this started. Because I'm pretty sick of the chaos. I'm ready for some peace. Really, really ready for some peace and quiet. Have a great week. Be good, be safe, and I will see you in the next video.